Good evening. This All India Radio. I am Valsa Williams and with me is Manoj Singh Rana with the evening news. The headlines. Centre announces guidelines for upscaling COVID-19 vaccination from March the 1st. Around 10,000 hospitals under Ayushman Bharat PMJAY and 687 hospitals under CGHS can be used by states as COVID vaccination centres. States can utilise all private hospitals empanelled under state government health insurance schemes for COVID vaccination. Cost of COVID vaccination capped at 250 rupees per person per dose for private hospitals functioning as COVID vaccination centres. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says Toy Fair is major step towards building Atmanirbhar Bharat, inaugurates first ever India Toy Fair. Prime Minister calls for promotion of handmade in India parallel with the thrust on Make in India. Prime Minister to share his thoughts in Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio at 11 a.m. tomorrow. Election Commission puts on hold transfer of 18 police officers ordered by the Assam government. Union government says no new provision is made for blocking of content in recently issued information technology rules. India and Bangladesh to expand and strengthen mutual cooperation in security and border-related issues. And ISRO's PSLV rocket to carry Amazonia 1 and 18 other satellites into space tomorrow. As the nation fights the COVID-19 pandemic, we begin with a message of precaution to stay safe and protected by following these three simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. Private hospitals can charge up to 250 rupees per dose of COVID-19 vaccine during the vaccination drive starting from the 1st of next month. The government will start administering COVID-19 vaccine to people above 60 years and those within age bracket of 45 to 59 years with specified comorbidities from Monday. The vaccine will be administered free of cost at 10,000 government hospitals to these groups, while the cost of the vaccine at around 20,000 private vaccination centres will be borne by the people. The Health Ministry has said the states have been given freedom to use all private hospitals empanelled under state government health insurance schemes as COVID vaccination centres. The states can also use health facilities of all PSUs and all government health facilities as COVID vaccination centres. Union Health Secretary Rajesh Bhushan today interacted with health secretaries and mission directors of the National Health Mission of States and UTs on the vaccination of age-appropriate groups through a video conference. During the meeting, states were explained about the three methods of registration, which are advanced self-registration, on-site registration and facilitated cohort registration. States have been explained that private hospitals functioning as COVID vaccination centres can charge subject to a ceiling of 250 rupees per person per dose, along with the electronic and financial management mechanism. User names and passwords to be provided to the private facilities to facilitate effective use of CoWIN 2.0 were also discussed during the meeting. In addition, the states were explained about mapping of private facilities with the nearest cold chain points to ensure seamless flow of vaccines. Our correspondent reports that the simplified system of certifying people with 20 comorbidities within the 45 to 59 years age group was also explained to the states in the meeting. During the meeting,
the COVID vaccination capacity manifold, significantly large number of private facilities is being involved. Around 10,000 private hospitals empanelled under Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana PMJAY, over 600 hospitals empanelled under CGHS and other private hospitals empanelled under state government health insurance schemes can participate as COVID vaccination centers. Health departments of state governments have already initiated dialogue with these private hospitals so that they can be encouraged to participate in this drive. Besides, there would be government health facilities like medical college hospitals, district hospitals, sub-divisional hospitals, health sub-centers, and health and wellness centers will be used as COVID vaccination centers. Health Ministry had asked all the private health facilities which will serve as government COVID vaccination centers to follow strict norms of due process, quality and safety, including integration with the National COVID Technology Platform. All private health facilities must also have adequate space, cold chain arrangements, number of vaccinators and support staff, as well as adequate arrangements for addressing adverse events following immunization. With Diwakar Anand Kumar, AIR News, Delhi.
During the meeting, the simplified system of certifying people with 20 comorbidities within the 45 to 59 years age group was also explained to the states. The simplified one-page certificate will be signed by any registered medical practitioner. The certificate can either be uploaded on CoWIN 2.0 by the beneficiary, while self-registering or a hard copy can be carried by the beneficiary to the COVID vaccination centers. The government has also released the list containing 20 specified comorbidities that will be prioritized the individuals for the COVID-19 vaccination. They include heart failure with hospital admission in the past 1 year, post-cardiac transplant, kidney and liver transplant recipient or on wait list, leukemia, lymphoma, HIV infection, diabetes and hypertension on treatment, and severe respiratory disease with hospitalization in the last 2 years.
The Union Health Ministry said more than 1,42 lakh COVID-19 vaccine doses have been administered to beneficiaries in the country so far. A total of 7,69,000 doses of vaccine were given to healthcare and frontline workers in the last 24 hours. Meanwhile, the country's COVID-19 recovery rate stands at 97.14%, with recovery of more than 12,000 patients within 24 hours. The ministry said more than 1,07 lakh patients have already recovered from this disease. Presently, the total number of active cases in the country is 1,59,590, which comprises only 1.44% of the total positive cases. A total of 16,488 new cases were reported in the country in the past 24 hours, taking the cumulative positive cases to over 1,10 lakh. The Health Ministry said 113 deaths were reported within 24 hours, taking the toll to over 1,56,000 across the country. The Indian Council of Medical Research said that various laboratories conducted more than 7,73,000 tests of coronavirus samples during the last 24 hours, and more than 21,54 lakh tests have been done in the country so far. In Maharashtra, Parbhani District Administration has extended the restrictions, including closing of religious places till 7th of March due to the rise in COVID-19 cases. Earlier, the religious places in the district were to remain closed till 28th of this month. Meanwhile, in Nagpur, the weekend Bandh is being observed. More from our correspondent.
Nagpur Police Commissioner Amitesh Kumar said that Bandh has been called by the people themselves to contain the spread of novel coronavirus. He said there are no restrictions on the movement of people, but whosoever is found without a face mask, action has been taken against such individuals. He said restaurants and malls are shut in the city. The commissioner also said that Bandh should not be misunderstood as a Janta curfew or a lockdown. The people of Nagpur overwhelmingly participated in the Bandh. On the other hand, in Parbhani, the district administration, which had earlier ordered closing of all religious places from 23rd to 28th of this month, has extended the restrictions till 7th of March. Meanwhile, in Latur, the 2-day Janta curfew began from today, which received a mixed response. Kunal Shinde, AIR News, Mumbai.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi today said the India Toy Fair is going to be a major step in the journey towards building an Atmanirbhar Bharat and strengthening the age-old traditions of the country. The Prime Minister was speaking after inaugurating the first ever India Toy Fair through video conferencing.
खिलौनों के क्षेत्र में भारत के पास ट्रेडिशन भी है और टेक्नोलॉजी भी है। भारत के पास कंसेप्ट भी है और कॉम्पिटेंस भी है। लेकिन इस सब के बावजूद $100 बिलियन के वैश्विक खिलौना बाजार में आज हमारी हिस्सेदारी बहुत ही कम है। देश में 85% खिलौने बाहर से आते हैं। आज हमें इस स्थिति को बदलने के लिए मिलकर काम करना है। हमें खेल और खिलौनों के क्षेत्र में भी देश को आत्मनिर्भर बनाना है, वोकल फॉर लोकल होना है।
Mr. Modi said that most Indian toys are affordable and made from natural and eco-friendly items. The Prime Minister appealed to Indian toy manufacturers to make toys that are better for both ecology and psychology by using materials that can be recycled. Mr. Modi said this first toy fair is not just a business or economic event, but a link to strengthen the country's age-old culture of sports and games. The Prime Minister pointed out that people from across the nation have done extensive researches on the toys of Indus Valley and Mohenjo-daro. Mr. Modi also pointed out that the world-famous game of chess originated in India. He added that chess was earlier played in India as Chaturanga or Chaduranga, and Ludo was also played as Pachisi. The Prime Minister said there is so much talent hidden in the toy industry and this strength will be increased multifold, and the identity of the industry will be consolidated through Atmanirbhar Bharat campaign. The Prime Minister said these are descriptions in scriptures about many different forms of Lord Ram's toys. He said local toys strengthen the feeling of unity among the kids. Mr. Modi said Indian toys not only entertain but also teach complicated scientific theories in a simplified manner. Lattu teaches gravity and balance, and Gulel teaches potential and kinetic energy.
जब बच्चे लट्टू से खेलना सीखते हैं तो लट्टू खेल खेल में ही उन्हें ग्रेविटी और बैलेंस का पाठ पढ़ा जाता है। वैसे ही गुलेल से खेलता बच्चा जाने अनजाने में पोटेंशियल से काइनेटिक एनर्जी के बारे में बेसिक सीखने लगता है। पजल टॉय से रणनीतिक सोच और समस्या को सुलझाने की सोच विकसित होती है।
Mr. Modi urged the parents to play with their children and said toys do play a vital role in the learning process of children. The Prime Minister interacted with toy makers from Channapatna in Karnataka, Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh and Jaipur in Rajasthan. He urged the toy makers from Channapatna toy clusters who have been in the business for 200 years to try e-markets and newer ways to market their products and take their products global. The Prime Minister has made a call for the promotion of handmade in India in parallel with a thrust on Make in India as a response to the growing global demand for handmade toys.
अगर आज मेड इन इंडिया की डिमांड है तो आज हैंडमेड इन इंडिया की डिमांड भी उतनी ही बढ़ रही है। आज लोग खिलौनों को केवल एक प्रोडक्ट के रूप में ही नहीं बल्कि उस खिलौने से जुड़े अनुभव से भी जुड़ना चाहते हैं। इसलिए हैंडमेड इन इंडिया को भी प्रमोट करना है। हमें ये भी याद रखना है कि जब हम कोई खिलौना बनाते हैं तो हम एक बाल मन को गढ़ते हैं। यही उल्लास हमारे कल का निर्माण करेगा।
Speaking on the occasion, Textiles Minister Smriti Irani said the toy fair will see pavilions by 11 partner states and 100 speakers, including experts and industry specialists.
The first ever virtual toy fair is giving an opportunity to indigenous startups in the toy sector. Entrepreneurs from Madhya Pradesh are also showcasing their startups in the toy fair. A report.
In line with Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Vocal for Local mantra, Pramod Mathil from Ujjain, Madhya Pradesh, through his startup Prakriti Initiatives, is creating Thinking Lab or T-Lab for children in schools. Pramod Mathil is also a participant in the country's first virtual toy fair. Pramod says that India Toy Fair will benefit indigenous startups involving toys.
भारत सरकार का टॉय फेयर का प्रयास बहुत ही सराहनीय है और मुझे पूरी उम्मीद है कि इस तरह के प्रयासों से पूरे दुनिया भर में भारत की हाथ से बनने वाली चीजों की को महत्व मिलेगा।
Local startups like T-Lab recognizes children's natural creative activities where their scientific cultural faculties can be developed. Pooja P. Vardhan, AIR News, Bhopal.
Participants from Bihar are also showcasing their toys in the ongoing virtual event India Toy Fair. Some participants have come up with traditional doll-making art like Kanya Putri, which is an important part of folk culture in the state. More from our correspondent.
Kanya Putri is an old doll-making tradition which signifies the importance and prestigious place of women in the societies of Champaran area of the state. Namita Azad, an exhibitor in Toy Fair, says the event is also an opportunity to revive the old tradition of Bihar, once upon very popular in the society.
मैं विलुप्त होती हुई कला कन्या पुत्री डॉल बना रही हूँ। जब मैं इसको सामने लेके आई मेला में या कहीं भी, तो लोग बहुत खुशी से इस चीज को स्वीकार किए कि अरे जो चीज खत्म हो गया था वो फिर सामने देखने को मिल रहा है। सारे लोग बड़े खुशी से इस चीज को स्वीकार किए। ये हमारे आर्ट को बढ़ाने में बहुत ही मदद करेगी, क्योंकि लोग जानते थे लेकिन अब सामने दिख नहीं रहा है, तो वो अब ये मेला के माध्यम से इस चीज को देख के फिर से जानेंगे और फिर से इसको लेना शुरू करेंगे।
Several toy makers, exporters and startups are also hopeful that the toy fair will explore new avenues for their products and arts. Dharmendra Kumar Rai, AIR News, Patna.
Assembly elections in West Bengal, Assam, Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Puducherry will be held between the 27th of March and the 29th of April. The counting of votes in all the 4 states and 1 union territory will take place on the 2nd of May. Chief Election Commissioner Sunil Arora announced the poll schedule in New Delhi last evening. Polling in West Bengal will be held in 8 phases on the 27th of March and the 1st, 6th, 10th, 17th, 22nd, 26th and 29th of April. Assam will go to polls in 3 phases on the 27th of March and the 1st and 6th of April. The assembly elections in Tamil Nadu, Kerala and Puducherry will be held in a single phase on the 6th of April. The Chief Election Commissioner said the Model Code of Conduct came into force with the announcement of the elections. The Election Commission also announced by-poll for Kanyakumari Lok Sabha constituency in Tamil Nadu and Malappuram Lok Sabha seat in Kerala, which will be held on the 6th of April. Assam Chief Electoral Officer Nitin Khare has said in view of the COVID-19 situation, 5,325 auxiliary polling stations will be set up for the state assembly elections in the state. Talking to newspersons in Guwahati today, he said the total number of polling stations would be 33,530. Mr. Khare said all guidelines and COVID-19 protocols will be maintained during the polling. More from our correspondent.
Chief Electoral Officer Nitin Khare said all steps are being taken to ensure free, fair and safe assembly polls in Assam. He asserted that all COVID protocols would be followed in every step of the election process. Mr. Khare said that COVID-19 vaccination would be given to all concerned government personnel who would be engaged in election duties. He also announced that postal ballot facility would also be available to COVID-19 positive patients, senior citizens above 80 years of age and persons with disabilities. On the security aspect, he said so far 40 companies of Central Armed Police Forces have been deployed in area domination activities. Special DGP L.R. Bishnoi has been appointed as the nodal officer of police training in the state. Assam will witness 3-phase assembly polls beginning the 27th of next month. With Manas Pratim Sarma's report from Guwahati, Prashant Kumar Sinha, AIR News.
The Election Commission has put on hold the transfer and posting of 18 police officers ordered by the Assam government yesterday. The assembly elections were announced yesterday in the state along with 3 other states and a union territory. The Commission said with the announcement of polls, the provisions of the Model Code of Conduct have come into force with immediate effect, which includes a total ban on the transfers and postings of all officers connected with the conduct of elections. The Assam government had ordered the transfer of 12 IPS and 6 APS officers. In poll-bound West Bengal, the ADG Law and Order Javed Shamim has been transferred today. He has been made the DG Fire Services. The order came on the next day of the announcement of assembly elections in the state. Jagmohan, who was the DG Fire Services, has been appointed as the ADG Law and Order and the State Police Nodal Officer. You're listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Centre announces guidelines for upscaling COVID-19 vaccination from March 1st. Around 10,000 hospitals under Ayushman Bharat PMJAY and 687 hospitals under CGHS can be used by states as COVID vaccination centres. States can utilize all private hospitals impanelled under state government health insurance schemes for COVID vaccination. Cost of COVID vaccination capped at 250 rupees per person per dose for private hospitals functioning as COVID vaccination centres. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says Toy Fair is major step towards building Atmanirbhar Bharat, inaugurates first ever India Toy Fair. Prime Minister calls for promotion of handmade in India parallel with the thrust on Make in India. Prime Minister to share his thoughts in Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio at 11 a.m. tomorrow. Election Commission puts on hold transfer of 18 police officers ordered by the Assam government. Union government says no new provision is made for blocking of content in recently issued information technology rules. India and Bangladesh to expand and strengthen mutual cooperation in security and border-related areas. And ISRO's PSLV rocket to carry Amazonia-1 and 18 other satellites into space tomorrow. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो कुछ वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे.
Welcome back to the evening news. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will share his thoughts with the people in the country and abroad in the Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio at 11 a.m. tomorrow. It will be the 74th episode of the monthly radio program. It will be broadcast on the entire network of AIR and Doordarshan and also on AIR News website www.newsonair.com and News on AIR mobile app. It will be streamed live on the YouTube channels of AIR, DD News, PMO and Information and Broadcasting Ministry. AIR will broadcast the program in regional languages immediately after the Hindi broadcast. The regional language versions will be repeated at 8 in the evening. The Union Government today clarified that no new provision has been made with regard to blocking of content in the recently issued Information Technology Intermediary Guidelines and Digital Media Ethics Code rules. It said that certain misgivings are being raised regarding Rule 16 of the new guidelines, which mention that in case of emergency nature, interim blocking directions may be issued by the Secretary, Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. In a statement, the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting said the same rule was being exercised by the Secretary, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology for the past 11 years under the Information Technology Procedure and Safeguards for Blocking for Access of Information by Public Rules 2009. Now, under the new rule, this provision will be exercised by the INB Secretary in place of the IT Secretary.
India and Bangladesh reiterated their commitment to further expand and strengthen mutual cooperation in security and border-related issues. The 19th Home Secretary level meeting between India and Bangladesh were held today. It was held in the backdrop of Mujib Borsho, 50 years of Bangladesh Liberation War and establishment of diplomatic ties between the two countries. The Indian delegation was led by Home Secretary Mr. Ajay Kumar Bhalla and the Bangladesh delegation was led by Senior Secretary, Public Security Division Mr. Mustafa Kamaluddin. Both sides appreciated the cooperation between the two countries and the action taken to address the menace of terrorism and extremism in an effective manner. India and Bangladesh reaffirmed not to allow the territory of either country to be used for any activity inimical to each other's interests. The Indian Space Research Organization will launch Amazonia-1 satellite of Brazil and 18 co-passenger satellites through PSLV C-51 from Sriharikota tomorrow at 10:24 in the morning. The ISRO also confirmed that the launch rehearsal of PSLV C-51 was completed. Amazonia-1 is the optical Earth observation satellite of the National Institute for Space Research, INPE. The satellite would further strengthen the existing structure by providing remote sensing data to users for monitoring deforestation in the Amazon region and analysis of diversified agriculture across the Brazilian territory.
The by-elections in 5 wards of Municipal Corporation of Delhi will be held tomorrow. The poll will be held in Rohini, Shalimar Bagh, Trilokpuri, Kalyanpuri and Chauhan Bangar municipal wards. The polling will be held from 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Talking to AIR Delhi Election Commissioner S.K. Srivastav said several measures have been taken in the polling areas in the wake of COVID-19.
कोविड पेशेंट हैं, उनकी सुविधा के लिए हम लोगों ने 4:30 से 5:30 का टाइम एयरमार्क किया है जिससे कि उनको भी पूरी सुरक्षा के साथ हेल्थ पैरामीटर को फॉलो करके वोट दिलाया जा सके। सब पोलिंग बूथ हमारे सेट हो गए हैं और फ्री एंड फेयर इलेक्शन कराने के लिए सभी तैयारी कर ली।
Meanwhile, Delhi Police Commissioner S.N. Srivastav today reviewed the arrangements to ensure free and fair election. During the meeting, it was emphasized to keep a sharp vigil on the borders in view of elections and the ongoing farmers' protest. The News Services Division of All India Radio in its bilingual live phone-in program tonight will bring you a special discussion on COVID-19. Dr. V.K. Paul, Niti Aayog member and chairperson of National COVID-19 Task Force, will participate in the discussion. Listeners can ask questions to the expert on toll-free telephone number 180011 5767. One can also ask questions on telephone number 011 2331 4444 and post queries on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts by hashtag AskAIR. This can be heard on FM Gold channel and additional frequencies from 9:30 p.m. onwards. This program will also be available on our website newsonair.com and on our YouTube channel News on AIR Official. You can also follow us on the News on AIR app for updates.
Union Minister of Health and Family Welfare, Science and Technology and Earth Sciences, Dr. Harshvardhan, arrived in Impal today on a two-day visit to Manipur. The minister reached this afternoon from Nagaland. Dr. Harshvardhan was warmly received by the state BJP leaders, MP and state cabinet ministers when he arrived at Impal Airport. After that, the minister inspected a health and wellness centre in Impal. He will inaugurate various projects taken up in the Regional Institute of Medical Sciences, RIMS, Impal tomorrow morning. These include new 3 Tesla MRI machines, new MRI block, PG Ladies Hostel, new neurosurgery ICU and new block of College of Nursing. The Union Minister will also attend the National Science Day celebration and award function tomorrow and depart for Delhi in the evening. Guru Ravidas Jayanti is being observed across the country today. His influence on the Indian culture is immense, especially in North India. Bhakti movement saint Guru Ravidas is well known for making efforts in eradicating the caste system. He was a contemporary of Kabir Das and Mirabai was a disciple of Ravidas. His importance in Sikhism is denoted by the fact that 40 of his poems were included in the sacred scripture of the religion, the Adi Granth. President Ramnath Kovind, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi paid tributes to Guru Ravidas on his Jayanti. Home Minister Amit Shah also paid tributes to Sant Ravidas on his Jayanti.
Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. National capital Delhi is likely to have mist in the morning. The temperature will hover between 15 and 31 degrees Celsius. Mumbai will have a mainly clear sky. Minimum temperature will be 20 degrees Celsius, while maximum is expected to be around 35 degrees. Chennai is expected to have partly cloudy sky. Temperature will vary between 21 and 35 degrees. In Kolkata, there will be partly cloudy sky. The city will observe minimum temperature of 23 degrees Celsius, maximum of around 36. Srinagar will witness partly cloudy sky becoming generally cloudy towards afternoon or evening or night. Temperature will hover between 4 and 10 degrees Celsius. Jammu will have a mainly clear sky. Minimum temperature will be 13 degrees Celsius, while maximum will be around 22. Leh will have a partly cloudy sky. Minimum temperature will be minus 4 degrees Celsius, while maximum will be around 6 degrees. Gilgit will have generally cloudy sky with light rain. Temperature will hover between 6 and 17 degrees Celsius. Muzaffarabad will witness partly cloudy sky becoming generally cloudy towards afternoon or evening or night. Temperature will hover between 7 and 19 degrees Celsius. And now before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Centre announces guidelines for upscaling COVID-19 vaccination from March the 1st. Around 10,000 hospitals under Ayushman Bharat PMJAY and 687 hospitals under CGHS can be used by states as COVID vaccination centres. States can utilize all private hospitals empanelled under state government health insurance schemes for COVID vaccination. Cost of COVID vaccination capped at 250 rupees per person per dose for private hospitals functioning as COVID vaccination centres. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says Toy Fair is major step towards building Atmanirbhar Bharat, inaugurates first ever India Toy Fair. Prime Minister calls for promotion of handmade in India parallel with the thrust on Make in India. Prime Minister to share his thoughts in Mann Ki Baat program on All India Radio at 11 a.m. tomorrow. Election Commission puts on hold transfer of 18 police officers ordered by the Assam government. Union government says no new provision is made for blocking of content in recently issued information technology rules. India and Bangladesh to expand and strengthen mutual cooperation in security and border-related issues, and ISRO's PSLV rocket to carry Amazonia 1 and 18 other satellites into space tomorrow. With that, we end the evening news. Good night.